This is Tommy Mello, and you're listening to Contractors Stories. Consistency is hard. It is so hard. We overestimate what we can do in a week, a month, a year, and underestimate what we can do in 5. And I think discipline trumps motivation all day. Some days we're motivated, some days we're not. Discipline, our DNA, our ancestral timeline, we were built to do hard things. And for some reason, we don't do these hard things anymore. Yeah. And these hard things, they let off all this dopamine and serotonin when you do them. And I didn't understand, why do hard things? I don't have to. Why would I do hard things? But then I do them, and all of a sudden, this euphoria, this chemical release in your brain, it's electronic. Your brain it's actually very interesting how it works, but it releases this dopamine, and it's this happy drug. And it's not like you're walking around with a buzz, but it almost feels like you're on top of the world. It is euphoric.
Entrepreneurship, got that inspiration. Yeah, now I'm just doing it. Working on these projects, my ideas I'm pursuing. No matter what the problem, the solution, I'm proving it. Let's talk about it and open up the dialogue. Contractors telling their stories about how they got it started and how they keep it going. The passion fuels the mission. Now we blasted into orbit, we gone. That's where we grow from. Started with the vision, make the pitch and knock it out the park like home runs. We keep it moving, self-belief, no doubt. Pass off the mic to my man's Jim Klauck.
Tommy Mello, my friend, how are you?
I am absolutely phenomenal. I feel incredible, and it's like gravitating. It's the rule of nature, karma, whatever you want to call it. Things are great. Things are really, really great.
You're looking great. You've been working out, I see.
Some would say I've been pushing it, but you know what else I've been doing? I've been walking. I've been pushing for a minimum of 15,000 steps a day, not like a sprint, not a 4.2 walk, like a 3.5, 3.6 walk. Enjoying Mother Nature, just getting out in nature. It's just walking around the mountains. Not hiking though. It's not an elevated walk. I go up and down small hills, but just getting out and walking makes such a big difference over the course of 90 days.
So I love what you're doing with your self-development, mentally and physically. And, you've been to my ranch before in Texas, and every day I get up, I go for a walk with my dog. Of course, you can appreciate that. And I go down in the barn, I check out the chickens, I go down to the creek, I hop in the pool, and it's so important really to connect with nature. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, and I got the cold plunge that I got to tell you, I'm kind of a sissy because I can't stand that thing more than a minute right now, but I'm working up to it. It's like your whole body, it's a shock, and it almost hurts, but it's something you build up to.
Come on. Get tough, my friend. Okay, let's talk about home service freedom in San Diego coming up September 25th through 27th. Orlando was outstanding. That was the last big one. The next big one is in San Diego. What can we expect?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm very, very excited about this one. I'm excited to be in San Diego. I'm excited. I love Jocko when it comes to discipline and no excuses. That guy is number one on the planet. I put him past David Goggins. I think Steve Sims with blue fishing and go for stupid. I just think he's funny. He's charismatic. He understands how to get access. And I think most people need to understand how to get into the right rooms. Keith Mercurio always puts on a clinic. He's going through a divorce. Both of his parents died in the last 18 months. Talk about overcoming. He just told me on the last podcast we did last week, I have nobody to be proud of me anymore except for myself. So he's come to terms, he doesn't have kids. So he's going through a lot, and I think he's going to talk about that. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot from that. I love Ellen Rohrer. She's always a blast, really smart lady, very charismatic. Sebastian, some of the stuff they're doing with AI and machine learning is going to be incredible. And we're launching some pretty cool stuff as well. And I'm mostly excited. I got all my buddies, Travis Ringy and all my, Ishmael will be there and Cristiano and all the guys. And then I'm having some of the Godfathers come, like Paul Kelly, doing almost 300 million in one market, which is Phoenix. We're gonna see the success. I bring in on some guys like my buddy Nick, who does car detailing for the younger generation. He's in his, I think he's 20 years old and he's killing it. So I think it's a show for everybody. It's not just about mindset. It's not just about tactics. It's a combination of both. And I'm hoping that you leave there wanting a better life and setting bigger goals. And you decide that that day of September 25th through the 27th in San Diego, it's not one day, it's day one. And you decide that it's not going to be this 2-week pump where you get all this mindset and you go back and you go to work and you do great, but it's going to change your life in the right direction. Closer to family. You know, I just got baptized. And if that's important to people, great. If not, I get it. But all around enjoying life more is really what this freedom's all about in 2024.
When I hear freedom in terms of small business, I think of living your dream within that business, but having the freedom to do what you want in your personal life. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, it is. But it also is the idea of until, you know Zig Ziglar probably better than anybody. You hang out with Howard Partridge and those guys. What freedom really is giving other people freedom first. And as they start to accomplish freedom, you get more freedom. It's counterintuitive. Like, you want workers to work all the time so you don't have to. But when they start living their dreams, it's crazy how it happens. And it mathematically doesn't make sense. Like, I need workers so I can take time off to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. But if you get them their dreams, all of a sudden, man, yours starts to compound quickly.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Love Zig Ziglar. Actually, Howard introduced me to Zig years ago. I was honored to have met one of my mentors. Fantastic opportunity. In this podcast will be a link to register for Home Service Freedom in San Diego, September 25th through 27th, a Wednesday through a Friday. In short, why should people register right now?
Well, obviously you get to save money. I mean, it's an earlier checkup. You've been to Victor's events. You've been to lots of events around the country, probably some out of the country. I don't think people understand that there's these hotel blocks. If you don't sell enough tickets, you don't only lose money, you lose hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I'd love to tell you that this event's going to make me very wealthy, but that we all know I'll lose money on it. So my goal, literally, you get your tickets, but a lot of people have been bringing other people. They've been bringing their wife. They've been bringing their general manager. They've been bringing their CFO or their bookkeeper. They've been bringing their call center manager. They've been bringing their top 2 technicians. And what's so great about it is when people leave, they go, now I know what my boss was talking about. Now I understand the vision. Now I understand what's going on. So I think that a lot of times before, Jim, I was very selfish with my time, and I'd go visit other shops. I do shop tours for I'd go look at other companies to $100 million HVAC shop. And I'd go to every single seminar and I'd walk back with all these notes. And my guys would be like, okay, great. Tommy's got more ideas. Till I started bringing them to Pantheon with Service Titan, then bringing them to this event and this event. And then they'd come back. And what I really came to the conclusion of is I can't run this company myself unless they buy into my vision. I can't. It's impossible. So if I don't have my top comrades buying into my vision, there's no chance for me to succeed. And if I'm go, gas, let's grow, it doesn't happen without the buy-in. So I think if you got close people in your company or close family members that you really want them to understand what you're trying to do, it just makes sense to bring them to this event. It really does.
I totally agree. You need to get everybody that's on the team there, whether it is a spouse who, even though they may not be a partner in the business, they really are, right? They're part of that business one way or the other, and your team members. Speaking of partners, you have vendor partners that will be there. I was very impressed when I was in Orlando. There were a lot of companies that can help home service businesses outside of the event itself. All of these great people who are there with great businesses. Talk about that.
Well, I just did a local event. I've done this event. I started with this event, Vertical Track, and I was walking through the vendor area. One of the guys came up to me. He does mailers. And he said, I'd love an opportunity to earn your business. And I said, we're really happy. I appreciate you being a vendor. He goes, Tommy, he's like, let me just sit down with you and your marketing team for 30 minutes. Well, it turns out we're going to save 40%. And what that means, I can't explain what that means to the business without taking up the whole podcast, but what it means is our greenfield growth strategy, our organic growth strategy, our acquisition strategy, that one connection changed the future of the company. And we're putting this into motion. And I'm pretty connected. I'm looking at new opportunities with tax opportunities. I'm looking for new opportunities for better insurance, better opportunities for the employees to make more money, my coworkers. And the vendors they're very good at what they do. I don't just bring people to sell them. We don't have an alcohol booth at every corner, and it's not a party. This event is to help your business. And when you learn what these vendors can do, it's like the blueprint to how I grew A1, because I've used almost all of them, or I'm very connected to somebody that's used them. We just don't sell that. We've got more vendors, Jim, way more vendors that want to be part of this than we have enough vendors to we sold out of vendors the first day, literally. Like, vendors are not the problem. So we got to handpick the best of the best. And so I want the vendors to be successful, but I demand that they make the people that come there successful. I demand that they do what they say they're going to do. I demand that they answer their phones. You can't help certain people that don't want to be helped. If you sign up for a marketing vendor and you don't show up to the meetings and you don't turn in the stuff you need to do, and you're not getting reviews onto your Google My Business page, and you're just not responding, I can't help you there. But if you're doing everything, I'm involved, and I'm going to make sure these vendors fulfill what they promised.
It's nice that when you're there as a home service professional and you're walking down the aisles, these vendors, these partners are not only just people who have paid to be there, they have most likely worked closely with you and your team to build your businesses. And that says a lot. Like you said, it's really the best of the best. You have this recipe. And if people would just listen to you, Tommy, which is hard for a lot of people because they're set in their ways. But if you just release, open up your mind, come to the event, learn from the speakers. And it's not just Tommy Mello. Tommy's not on stage all that much. It's the other guys that Tommy has brought in to build his businesses and to help you. And the vendors are awesome to have there because they're not there just to sell you something. They're there to help you. If you take A1 garage doors and you take away all of those assets, there would be no business. A lot of people frown upon, marketing companies or suppliers, and they treat them like crap. These are partners. These people need to be treated well, Tommy. You know this, so they can treat you well and have a successful business.
100%. And I left out a speaker. His name's Darius Livers, and he was at my very first event. And this guy, out of every speaker I just mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if Darius far exceeds everyone else. Mm. He works for a company, one of the largest PE companies in the home service space. And Darius runs under Apex, and they started giving him other areas. And they started giving, and you don't meet a lot of people like this. He's one of those guys that, he was in France recently, and I asked him to do me a favor, and he did it from France. He jumped on a call with A1 with all my technicians on one of our Bring the Fire meetings. And yeah, I'm not going to bring anybody on stage that doesn't blow people's minds, that doesn't make them think a little bit differently, that they can't walk away with a lot of notes. The problem with these things is you get a lot of information, Jim, and very few people implement on it. I'm hoping we give some really easy, we could spoon feed some of these things on how to implement. And that's where I really want this one to be different. But you're right. You got to have a relationship. You got to treat your vendors with a lot of respect. You got to make sure they're giving you the right teammates on their team. Just like A1 Garage Door Service or Garage Door Doctor or Don's, we've got amazing, amazing people. But you see what Cody does and Ryan does. They treat their clients like exceptional. And if I really wanted something done in Houston, I'd ask Cody to oversee it because I trust him and he's a genuine dude and he really does care. And when you're working with a vendor, I want the founder usually to oversee my stuff and give me their best because I know who they know is like the most talented person on their team. And that's what I tend to try to pick for what we do here at the Home Service Freedom thing is make sure we've got the best talent working on our the clients that are involved with us.
You have got, as a business owner, you've got customers or clients who pay for everything. And then you also have your team members, your employees, which are internal customers, your suppliers. And if you do it the way Tommy does it, everyone is treated very well. Maybe not equally, but very well. And if everybody's happy and respected, they will give you everything. And it amazes me how some individuals running companies don't treat their customers well, don't treat their internal customers, their team members well, and certainly their suppliers. They beat them up all the time. And then they wonder why, when there's a shortage in the industry for a product, that they're not top on that vendor's list. So it's just so important. And you bring it all together at the event. Once again, September 25th through 27th in San Diego, Home Service Freedom. One of the things that I love the most, and it's not just me being on what you would consider the vendor side, Tommy, it's also critical for the home service professional, and that's networking. Talking to your peers, meeting people from other parts of the country in your industry or across industry. I see people in the hallways, at breakfast, over a beer, talking about how they can help each other because they've gone through it before. That's invaluable.
Well, the networking is everything. I say, as cool as the speakers are, as cool as, I get to meet a lot of cool people. It's these relationships. And I've seen people at the last Freedom event, and they bonded and they spent time with each other. They've gone to each other's markets, sometimes to their businesses. And whether that's like parenting better, whether that's getting a closer relationship to their parents, whatever, it's not always business. A lot of the people, they start getting healthy together. And this is the number one thing. When a mask drops down from a plane, they say, help yourself first.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, they're trying to help everybody else, but they're sluggish. They don't have energy. They don't wake up with the right mindset. That they're putting toxins in their body all the time. And trust me, I've been there. What I love everything that I say is I've walked the road you've been on. Like, I'm not coming from this spot of like, you suck, I'm better. I'm coming from, man, I've been there and I've been on both sides, and I choose this side. And I think people could appreciate that. I've been writing checks out of my home mortgage line to cover payroll. There's not a whole lot that hasn't happened. Murphy's Law was slapping me around the face for years. So I think the relationships and the networking is by far the best, but people got to come with a plan, an open mind, and don't be that guy passing cards to every single person you meet. Go in there with intentions of building a few really, really amazing relationships.
Yeah. Offer yourself to them first. Big mistake people make in networking is, hi, I'm Joe Blow. Here's my card. If you need something, call me, versus how can I help you? Right. And if you help people, and this is Zig Ziglar, right? If you give people what they want, you'll get what you want, basically. And
100%.
It's these shortcuts that we see, Tommy, in our personal and business lives that hold us back. And sometimes it's counterintuitive. You got to step back and you got to say, okay, let me follow the system. And the wise people say, if I give first, it's like BNI, right? Givers gain. Okay. You have to give and then you receive. You can't just expect the crop to grow. You have to sow the seeds. You've got to water and fertilize. And I've seen it in my businesses. You've seen it in yours. It takes time. And eventually you wake up to this huge field of crops where it's plentiful. You're doing it now physically. It's going to take you some time to reach your ultimate goal, but you just can't change your body and mind overnight. If you want to have a certain size, bicep, or if you want to get ripped, you have to do it over and over again. Sometimes you actually have to take a step back before you can move forward, and boom, boom, boom. But eventually you'll get there. And the point is is you've got to do all these things consistently, time and time again.
Consistency is hard. It is so hard. We overestimate what we can do in a week, a month, a year, and underestimate what we can do in 5. And I think discipline trumps motivation all day. Some days we're motivated, some days we're not. Discipline. I had this lady, she wrote Dopamine Nation, and she said, our DNA, our ancestral timeline, we were built to do hard things. And for some reason, we don't do these hard things anymore.
Yeah.
And these hard things, they let off all this dopamine and serotonin when you do them. And I didn't understand, why do hard things? I don't have to. Why would I do hard things? But then I do them, and all of a sudden, this euphoria, this chemical release in your brain, it's electronic. Your brain it's actually very interesting how it works, but it releases this dopamine, and it's this happy drug. And it's not like you're walking around with a buzz, but it almost feels like you're on top of the world. It is euphoric. And I didn't realize it's doing hard things, not just physically. It's doing things that you don't want to do. It's getting up out of bed. It's going outside when you really don't want to go outside, even if it's raining, even if it's cold. And getting in the cold plunge until your body learns that, and you can beat it every time, and you do it every day religiously like Joe Rogan does. And it's probably not as hard for him to do it because he's done it so much. I don't think it'll ever be easy for me to get in a cold plunge. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, it can be challenging, but it's not going to kill you in most instances. It is good for you. Not only the cold plunge, but they say getting in a sauna is good. And I do that every week because I live in Houston, Texas, and just walking outside is a sauna.
Oh, yeah.
And they say the cold and the heat extremes are important. I'm not going to get into details, but important for the overall of who you are. It's not just mental, it's physical. And it's important to do these extremes, physically and also mentally. On that note, I find it very interesting that a lot of people today want to take the easy route. Things are easy today. We don't have to walk to go places. We have cars. We don't have to walk to the bus stop. We get in our car and drive to work. We sit in an air-conditioned building in a cubicle. We actually call for the food to come in. We don't have to go out to lunch anymore. We call, companies or go online and order Amazon and have stuff brought in. We didn't have to even go to the store to shop and physically walk around. This is a problem. And it actually blows my mind. What are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, well, I think that easy times make weak people. And I think hard times make really strong people. And, as I was pushing, there's this... We've got this thing. It's got rollers on it. We stack weights on it. It's kind of like a sled, but it's made for in the gym. And the trainer said, I've never seen anybody where the wheels were shaking because I was pushing so hard. And I was pushing so hard, I was ready to throw up. And I almost thought I was playing football again, like in high school. And I wanted to freaking break this machine. That's how hard I was going at it. And I could barely breathe. And I started thinking to myself, man, this is life or death. I kind of put myself in a scenario if you had to break this machine and push so hard, just because, man, I got done, and all of a sudden I go, this wave, this energy. After 30, 2% of people will sprint at their full speed. In the population, only 2% of people will actually reach the top speed they can sprint at after the age of 30. That's ridiculous. And I understand why there's injuries, there's other things going on, but I'm part of that 2%. I'm always been the top of the top of the top.
Yeah.
And when I find out somebody can't do something, it's the first thing I'm like, okay, a lot of people aren't doing this. I'm going to do it. A lot of people aren't willing to work as hard as me. A lot of people aren't willing to be as dedicated. A lot of people aren't willing to turn off Netflix and Amazon. A lot of people are willing to say no to the McDonald's. It's these little choices that add up to be a whole lot bigger. And I started brushing my teeth 3 times a day and flossing twice a day. It's stupid. I put on lotion twice a day because I'm just doing everything right. And I got to tell you, it's not hard once you get in the routine. And you give up stuff, you put it with good stuff. And people have said this a lot lately. These last couple of months, they're like, something's changed with you. Your focus, your fortitude, your mental state. You don't seem all over the place. And I know I got work to do. But I really do feel like the focus is through the roof in comparison to where I've been in the past. Just kind of highs and lows and caffeine rushes and just needing more coffee or Red Bull or whatever it was. Now I'm like, I don't need any of that. And all I'd say is that I wish everybody could feel this way. I don't lose anything by other people feeling this great. In fact, what I love is the phone call saying, now I got energy to play with my kids again. Now I'm showing up for my wife in a better way. Now I got energy on the weekends after doing the yard work. Now I take those late calls when I really don't have to, but now the business is running good and I don't have to take those late calls because I made the sacrifice. You know, it never comes easy, and everybody wants that. They want to know the cheat code. They want to know. Back in Nintendo, we used to play Contra, and there was this unlimited lives. It was like A, B, up, down, left, right, select. I forget what the code was, but everybody's looking for that cheat code.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's no cheat code. You got to do the work.
Absolutely. Tommy, why do you care so much about other people?
You know, I never really thought about that, but I guess it's because I'm selfish. Because I personally, when other people win, I feel like a sense of accomplishment. I feel like I won alongside of them. I feel like I was part of that win. It's kind of like a coach. They're not playing the game, but when they win the Stanley Cup or the World Series or the Super Bowl, they were part of the team.
Yeah.
And it's a sense of accomplishment. It's a sense of winning. And I like winning. You know, I aspire to be number one at everything I do. And if I could be part of that, it makes me feel good. Winning doesn't mean just having a successful business. It means having a successful marriage. It means being a good father and a good mother. It means showing up to your parents in a better way. And I feel like when I pass away, I just want people to realize that when I met them, I impacted their lives positively, because there's one of two things. Either you say that person, that individual was positive or a negative influence. And I want to be that positive influence, that person that says, man, just knowing that guy left, like every time I met him, he really, really, really gave everything. And I never was worried about trust with him, because if he said he was going to do it, he did it. And I don't meet a lot of people like that. So that's who I want to be. And I'm going to always strive to be better. I don't always do that perfectly, but I know I have the best intentions.
Is it exhausting? Do you find that it's a burden or a disease for you to, want to do this? You said you were selfish, right? So, and I understand we often do things that are inside us that we feel we need to do so we feel better. Someone will say, oh, bless her heart, she goes to the soup kitchen and she volunteers her time. She's so selfless. No, she's doing that because it makes her feel good. Trust me. She doesn't do anything she doesn't want to do. How does that play into your life?
Well, I met this guy, actually, his name's Dan Martelli, wrote a book, Buy Back Your Time. And what I realized is I couldn't do it like I was doing it. I couldn't do it on a one-on-one basis anymore. It was selfish of me to want to do it on a one-on-one basis, because I was taking away time from Bree, my dogs, my mom, my dad, my sister, my niece, my nephews. So now it's selfish of me not to do it on a platform where a lot of people could get the same advice that are in the same boat. And he kind of explained this other viewpoint that I never had realized is he works out with this trainer that's like pretty much, as far as your body gets, no, like the best of the best body. And he goes, why don't you take your shirt off and post pictures? Dan said to his trainer. And he goes, oh, I'm not a douchebag like that. Like, I don't like the people all over social media post a picture of themselves. He's like, well, who's that guy on the wall? He goes, that's Arnold Schwarzenegger. What do you mean? And obviously his shirt's off. It was Mr. Olympia. And he goes, do you like him? Did he motivate you? When he wrote his books, did that guy motivate you to become who you are today? And he goes, in a big way, yes. He goes, it's selfish of you. Don't do it for vanity. Don't do it but you inspire people by doing that.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's just a different viewpoint that he's opened up in my mind. And it's not about me posting pictures half naked, but that was a good example of how to view things in a different light.
Yeah. I just finished Dan's book, so it's good. Buy Back Your Time. It's important.
It is good. I mean, literally, I thought, man, I don't need a driver and a chef. That's like so selfish. That's self-centered. And he just made me look at it in a whole different light. And he goes, Tommy, these people, your chef enjoys what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Raul is like the happiest guy. He drives me around. He's always smiling. He loves he gets free meals. He stays with us in the casita. We're building another thing. And I realized, man, I just got back lots and lots of hours. And my efficiency has gone through the roof. And I'm just getting started because this new idea of the buy back your time is like, I'm just getting started with it. And I'm manifesting more with vision boards. And I'm trying to create these things for other people as I'm experiencing them going, wow, there's a better way. Now, I know people don't always have the funds to do these things. And I didn't have the funds either. But the goal should be that if you're still doing things that are minimum wage activities, unless you really, really enjoy them or you're trying to be a good mentor for your kids, why are you doing them?
I agree. I don't think a lot of people understand what 100 years ago some people and companies put in place to get you to buy back your time. How many people grow their own crops, hunt for their own meat? Amazon. Look what Amazon has done. You can actually have things delivered to your home instead of shopping. That saves me a tremendous amount of time. So when you start thinking about buying back your time in those areas that you're already using, think about now more creatively how you can do it beyond that, because everyone uses those things. Amazon's a great example. The stuff comes to you now. You don't have to go out and shop to find out they didn't have what you wanted on the shelf. So there's so many efficiencies we already have in life today, but Dan's dialed it in, and I know that you're a big follower of his and you've adopted it, and it makes sense. And in some ways, you don't really have to have an excessive amount of extra money to do it. You just have to think about it. How can you leverage, to what's important to you? Now, some people do like to mow their lawn because they're getting some exercise, getting away from the family maybe, and listening to a book.
And I agree with that.
And that's okay because they're listening to a book, they're exercising, and they feel good about what they did. But if it's something you don't really want to do, but you have to do it, then maybe you should buy back that time. Definitely.
Yeah. And, Dan works with 6 his core people, and I'm one of those core. And I told Dan, there's no chance that I'm not only your best student, but I plan on surpassing all of them combined. And he goes, I don't know if that's possible. And I said, I'm not there yet. I don't want to know where they're at. I said, just give me some time, because when I get trained by somebody, whether it was Al Levy, and I've had a lot, Jonathan Wisman, I could go on and on and on with people. I've got a trainer. I got a lady that was just in town that took my blood, that we're working on what I'm missing, what I'm not missing, getting my hormonal stuff dialed in. Like, I don't go into this. I've got a golf coach. I mean, believe it or not, I'm actually getting a bags, cornhole coach. And I'm like, I don't go in there saying, just make me a little bit better. Now I'm like, I want to be incredible. I want to be elite. I'm like, I want to be able to beat you. And that's how I look at things. I never go in just, hey, make me a little bit better. I go, I want to become elite, the very, very best. Because otherwise I won't do it. I'm not going to be well-rounded. I'm going to be the best at everything I do. And I'm going to delegate everything else.
I tell people all the time, if you're going to do it, do it. I do some, coaching with small business owners who ask for my advice. And I'm like, are you serious about doing this? Like, do you really want to do this? Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Do you want to win? Do you want to do it? A lot of people are dreamers, and I can be tough with them. And I know that when you decide to do something, Tommy, you're all in. And if you decide that you're not going to be all in, you will dismiss it and you won't do it. You pick and choose. So everything on that side of I, Tommy Mello, am going to do it, you're all in. Everyone should do that, but so many people waffle, right? They're like, well, yeah, I told you I was going to do it, and I'll do it tomorrow or someday. And I tell people someday is not one of the 7 days, right? That doesn't work. It can't be someday. It needs to be, you have to have accountability. Is there anything that you do that you're doing half-assed?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, if you looked at my life and there was a camcorder on me at all times, possibly. If I think back, I don't go to church and not praise. I just everything. Like, I really do try at what I do, because there's no point of not. Dan told me the other day, as we were talking, he goes, most people, they don't have the mental capacity. He goes, when I meet somebody, I choose who I'm going to work with. I'm very, 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 very disciplined on who I choose. And the ability to say no, he goes, Tommy, you're going to miss out on billions of dollars a year. He goes, and I know you don't want to hear this because you're an opportunist. He goes, but the ability to say no is very, very important because you really, even if you buy back a ton of time, you've got more opportunities in this world than you don't. And that was like a really hard thing for a guy like me to hear, because if there's an opportunity, I want to jump on it. And I've got a couple choices, either say no or continue to build a team that can handle more. And I'm hoping, and I really do believe this is going to happen. Within the next 3 to 5 years, I'll walk into a room of the people that I work with, my coworkers on especially on the Tommy Mello Ventures team. I'm going to say, I really don't need to do anything except for network and grow my personal brand, because every one of these people will do it better than me. They enjoy it more than me. And I'm almost deemed useless. That's how strong of a team we built.
Yeah.
And when the team is that strong, there's really no limits. Obviously, we're going to still have to say no. But that's the kind of way I want to get to, and just enjoy every minute of it, man. I want to look at the stars. I want to go on the ocean. I want to go to Italy. I want to go and there's times Giuseppe's probably looking at me right now in the other room going, yeah, you keep saying you want to go to Italy, but I can't do this. Look, like I said, 5 years, it's amazing what can happen. And we're doing a lot of things, but I was talking to Gino Wickman. I'm probably going to start taking off Mondays in the next 2 years. I'm going to make sure I'm taking off all the weekends.
Taking off Mondays, you, Tommy Mello?
Not only taking off Mondays, taking off weekends, taking off holidays, and taking off a month on top of that, completely off. That means no reading books, no podcasting, no self-help books. That means literally being all in and present to what I'm doing.
Now, all due respect, that's not going to happen. You can't. Look, you're like here, and I'm somewhere down here. I'm like you, but the huge difference, I can't. And I take a lot of time. I believe in all that. You know me, the way I do things. It's about, well balanced. And it's okay, Tommy. You can take a month off, but you're going to be working somewhere, like on something. It's because you're an entrepreneur. I don't buy that. And I know you have good intentions, but it's good. I mean, I'm glad that you want to do that, but
Well, let me explain something real quick. I had to go to golf lessons last week.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily want to, but I had to work on my golf game. I literally you're right. I can't just veg out and be in this non-productive state. But what does that mean? I mean, it might mean that I go on this retreat and get to know myself or other people better. I don't know. I think that there will be a time that, yes, I went on this retreat with my sister to this place in Tucson. We learned about manifestation, and it was all foofy. There was all kinds of yoga stuff. I didn't sign up for any of it except for 3 classes. It was just me and her. But I went all in. I said, I'm going to be present. I'm going to turn off my cell phone, and I'm going to spend time with my sister. And did I work? Yeah, I worked a lot, and I started learning a lot more about vision boards and a lot more about what I needed. But the difference, I think, what I'm saying is, I can't just sit there and be like, okay, do nothing. I'll tell you what, if I go fishing, that's kind of working because I'm not sitting there. I'm trying to catch fish.
Yeah.
I am changing out my bait.
Yep.
And I'm trying trolling versus jigging I don't just go, let's just relax. Maybe for part of the day, I'm having a great conversation. We're just chilling. But if I even go on the back of a boat and try to become really, really good at wakeboarding, I'm going to be working to get better. I'm going to be studying, and I'm going to try new things. So however that's defined. Yep. You're right, though. I find it hard that I'll take off a whole month and not contact. I think the meetings, I'm trying to reverse engineer what my schedule looks like in a way that it's planned, in a way that I've had planned it to be this way. And just make sure that when I look back at myself at 41, 42, 43, that there was an intentional plan. And not everything's planned for you. You can't plan on certain things, right? There's deaths in the family. There's kids that hopefully get born. That there's certain things that you can't just say, I'm ready now. But for the most part, you could say I woke up and I worked out. I woke up and I did this. I spent this much time in Idaho. I spent this much time traveling. So I want to be on purpose with most of the stuff I'm doing, but still let the world happen. I don't want everything to be like it was all a plan, every single thing. But I plan on being healthy. I plan on golfing. I plan on fishing. I plan on spending time with my folks, you know?
Yeah. Well, you look great. You're sharp. And by the way, we've done many interviews. You are more focused. I will tell you that. Congratulations. You're doing fantastic. And I love you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Love you too, buddy. Thanks, Jimbo.
Entrepreneurship, got that inspiration. Yeah, now I'm just doing it. Working on these projects, my ideas I'm pursuing. No matter what the problem, the solution, I'm proving it. Let's talk about it and open up the dialogue. Contractors telling their stories about how they got it started and how they keep it going. The passion fuels the mission. Now we blasted into orbit, we gone. That's where we grow from. Started with the vision, make the pitch and knock it out the park like home runs. We keep it moving, self-belief, no doubt. Pass off the mic to my man's Jim Klauck. Hey, I don't wanna stop for nothing. I just wanna keep it going. Telling these authentic stories. You better believe, you better believe. I don't wanna stop for nothing. I just wanna keep it going. Telling these authentic stories.